what gave you the inspiration while you had the corporate job, the work for someone else job, to actually get the speaking gigs and do the work to build your leadership consulting business?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good way to ask that question. And as I'm saying, as you're asking it, I'm also processing like, what gave me that inspiration? I think it was the soul sucking feeling, right? I was miserable and probably making others around me miserable. And so I had to find a way. So for me, it just started with, hey, I can speak at your event and I'll do it for free. Like, because those are the things that light me up. And so once I found a way to do those things, right? The speaking, especially the speaking, and then started getting books to speak in other places. That to me was inspiring because it allowed me to face my job and knowing that there was more to look forward to when I left the job, and when I say left the job, I don't mean left for good. I mean, once I left for the day or for the week, I knew that there was something else that I was looking forward to. Also, true story, I ran across an ad, a Facebook ad. I'm like, today I think, how did this person ever find me, But it was about finding your first paying coaching client. Mm-hmm. And so I signed up for that program and learned a whole bunch of things about a whole new world out there of, the knowledge world, or the, whatever we want to call it, information world, or whatever. So,
it's sort of like online digital marketing, exactly. Right? Yeah, yeah.
It just opened up my eyes to, and so it began this journey of taking course upon course upon course, which also is not a good thing, but I mean, it fed me in that moment, right? And so
let's pause there to flesh out what you mean by that, because it sounds like you were, following I call them the breadcrumbs of delight. Okay. That like the things that light you up, and you just kind of follow them, and you like one leads to the other, and it's like this path of breadcrumbs that you're following. And you found this world where there were all these courses, and it was this brand new world, which I remember when, like, that I had that experience many, many years ago. And it was like, holy smokes, look at this. And it was like being in school again. You talked about loving law school, right? Like you could succeed by studying, which for someone like you and someone like me, that's that's like our lane. Like, yeah. We study, we are good students. We know how to succeed in that arena. Right. But you also said, I'm just splicing this apart. You also said that may not have been such a good thing. And I'm going to read between the lines, because I see this happen for so many people. Like, you take a bunch of courses and it feels like you're moving forward, but you're actually not doing the work in your business to grow it. You're just in learning. And that it's important. You need a base, right? But you actually need to do the needle moving work, which is super, super important. So yeah, am I right there?
You are absolutely right. Yes. And then it got to a point where the information was repetitious. Like I was learning the same things over and over, even though the programs were called different things, it still was the same thing. So it was like, okay, when are you going to implement? Mm-hmm. When are you going to implement what you're learning? And just stop. Everything sounded so good. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, learning is one of my love languages. And so just, if you've got something to teach, I'm there, right?
There's a place for it. There's a functional way to do it, and then there's a dysfunctional way to do it. So if you need the content because if you're in ignorance of how it works, that doesn't work. You need to up-level your level of awareness, right. But then you actually have to take the action and put it to work. So, okay, so then what happened next? How did you actually start activating and taking action?
Yeah. So like I was saying, I was doing a lot of this on the side. And I it's once I started actually how I got my first client, actually someone actually reached out to me. I hadn't even put it out there that I'm coaching yet, and someone reached out to me, someone in my network, and asked if I would coach her. And that has happened to me 3 different times. And so I just started coaching on what I knew, which has to do with self-leadership, communication, especially self-leadership and identifying who you are, how you show up in the world, becoming self-aware, your vision, your things like that. So
you're speaking my love language right there.
Okay.
And I noticed that when you were describing this, those of you who are listening to the audio only version, you won't have seen this, so I'm going to translate. But while she was talking about what she helped people with, she kept putting her hands on her heart, and I think it was slightly unconscious, but it was absolutely like this nonverbal communication of like, she just dove into exactly what her lane of genius was and what lit her up.
Wow, good observation. I didn't even catch that. But yeah, so it really does light me up till today, because I know what it was like for me going through this fog, what seemed like a fog, especially when I was like, okay, if I'm not practicing law, right? My whole identity was wrapped up in, okay, I have this law degree. If I'm not practicing that, where do I go? And I have all these things I love to do, but I can't do them all. So what, who am I if I'm not Emem the lawyer? And so that journey of becoming my full self, I know that breakthrough, that feeling that I got. And so helping others do that definitely lights up my soul.